Hey, welcome to Clarksville Vibe the Show. I'm your host, Kevin Kennedy Jr., Clarksville native, lover of all things Clarksville. Glad to have you with us on this episode. This is going to be an exciting one. This is our first two-part guest. When I first had this idea of a podcast, something that I was going to bring to the city, number one on my list was the guy that we have today. He's been a dear friend for a long time, a person of influence in multiple areas, a confidant that I've taken some deeper issues to. So when I tried to sit down and plan one episode, it was not going to happen. I said, man, we've got to plan two. We'll do part one, part two. So make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe or whatever it is that you can get this content as soon as it releases, because you're going to want to hear today's episode all the way to the end and the next one all the way to the end. He is my good friend, Shedrich Webster. He's a Clarksville native. You've seen him all over town doing all kinds of amazing things. We're going to get through those today. But before we jump into the content, as always, we love for you to interact with us in any way you can. Leave us a comment, a review, a rating. It really helps us grow our community. I'm really thankful for all the people who stop me either at my dental practice or in the grocery store, at a football game, whatever it is, talking to me about how the podcast is bringing them value and teaching them new things about Clarksville. This week, actually, I had my first person who is not native to Clarksville, just moved here 2 weeks ago, found the podcast, and has been learning a lot about the cool people who are here who make this the best place to live. So thank you so much for sharing that message online. And I really got to get it to Shed now, because I know you're going to bring us so much value. Thanks for doing this.
Man, as you get an introduction, I'm trying to figure out who else you're talking about. Dude, I'm just a regular guy.
Well, and that's what I love about you, because, you do have this genuine humility that comes about you. And I've known you almost a decade now, and that's not our entire life, but I've known you as long as I've been an adult back in Clarksville post-residency, and I know that humility is genuine, and I know that your heart to serve this community and love on this community is really what drives you. And I'm constantly amazed at the ideas that come in your brain, and they are not just put to the side. You're making them happen. You're bringing them to execution. You're somebody that's an inspiration to a lot of us, and you're the person that drives a lot of these things that we get to enjoy in town.
Yeah. So I think the humility comes from knowing who I am.
Sure.
And I don't have a bigger knowledge about who I am than other people, but I recognize my faults. I know I'm the little big head dude from Lincoln Homes, right? Who makes a bunch of mistakes all the time. I got a wife and a daughter and a son at home, and I look at them and I see the mistakes that I made and how those mistakes impact them. Mm-hmm. And so I can't be this big blown up dude out there, because I make mistakes all the time, and I recognize that. Yeah. And I'm ashamed of those mistakes, and that keeps me grounded. Definitely keeps me grounded.
But I'm going to give people a little preview of where we're going in part one and part two. Okay. I'm going to list off some of your resume, the things that you've got going on. Man. You've got Black Santa, which is an amazing program that's constantly growing and achieving new things.
I can't believe he likes to hang out in Clarksville so much.
Yeah, that's right. You've got Taste of Clarksville, which has got its own annual event and then ongoing events that happen. That's really exciting, highlighting a lot of the food trucks that are here. You've got this just drive to see our local political environment really reach the people. You've got your own health journey that's had some unexpected events and overcome a lot of challenges with that. So we've really got a lot to cover.
Okay.
Which is why we got two parts to this, right?
Let's hop into this, man.
Let's get it. Well, you mentioned your family. You brought them up. One of the things that I love you is I don't think there's anyone that I know who's more of a fan and a cheerleader of their family to try new things, accomplish new things than you are to your wife, your son, your daughter. They're very important to you. So tell me a little bit about how do you get joy as a dad? Because no one has joy in their family like you do.
So my son and my daughter, they're great people.
Yeah.
I've never had
they get it from good reason, right?
Man, I've never had one issue out of either of them.
Yeah.
My son was a solid student. He was an athlete. He wasn't the best athlete as he played sports, but he never quit, right?
Yeah.
And so it was cool to watch him matriculate through that. I was a sports dad where I coached as many teams as possible. But then I found a reason to just be a dad.
Yeah.
I found that if I just sit back and be dad, he's a better athlete and I can enjoy myself.
Wow.
And so his senior year in high school, man, I really just went to football games and just watched football games.
It.
Wasn't the announcer. I think they had me announce one game because they had an absence.
Sure.
I wasn't coaching. Wasn't a part of the coaching staff. I didn't want to be a part of the coaching staff. I just want to watch my son play football.
Yeah.
And I want to cheer for him as loud as I could and wear the Big 60 t-shirt and those types of things, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Basketball season, I want to be the dude sitting behind the bench so that no one else could say any bad things.
Oh, yeah.
I sat within earshot of the team and the coaches on purpose so that I couldn't hear the negative things that people had to say about the team, about my son, about the coaching staff. I just want to be a dad, just to watch some games.
Just take it all in.
That was pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Had a chance to go down with them to Memphis to see them play some pretty amazing teams in Memphis. Went to Missouri with them. They played at a tournament at the University of Missouri. So got a chance to see my son play on a college basketball floor.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. He was coached by one of the greatest coaches in this area's history, Dave Luce.
Yeah, wow.
Was an integral part of my son's development.
I forgot that he came over there and started helping at that same time.
Man, at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, I'd be pulling up to bring my son and drop him off for basketball practice. Here's Coach Luce pulling up at 5:30
The
in the morning.
Dave Luce.
Dave
the
Luce.
30-plus year Austin P men's basketball head coach and former athletic director.
Not David Luce.
Hey, now that's a clip we got to share with David, right? But the Dave, right?
The Dave Luce, the winningest coach in OVC history.
Wow, yes.
And my 16, 17-year-old son out here at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Dude, I enjoyed that. Being able to see him. This was post-cancer, Dave Luce.
Yeah.
Great guy. So
and no pun to David Luce, because if you tell stories of Kevin Kennedy, I get shared with in the same light. Not Kevin Kennedy, it was Kevin Kennedy Jr., not the same level as senior. It was just junior that showed up. But I get it, living in the shadows of your father, who's a legend.
I like both Kevin Kennedys. You are definitely my favorite Kevin Kennedy, though. Even though I like both Kevin Kennedys, this is definitely my favorite.
That's
Kevin
awesome.
Kennedy,
well, you are a member, longtime servant, integral part of the community there at First Missionary Baptist Church.
I am.
Pastored by a local leader, kind of legend in our community, Robert Harris.
Yeah.
I want to just ask you, I know that your faith is actually the driver behind a lot of what you do. And I know that your respect and love for your church community is a driver of a lot of what you do. So tell us a little bit about that and tell us why, kind of how long you've been involved in that church family there.
So I think it's a greater love for my God.
Wow.
Right? I love the church. I have my issues with the corporate church, but I love God, right? And he guides me. As far as my local church, I love First Missionary Baptist. Yeah. Pastor Harris, that's my dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's like another father to me.
How long has he been there? Do you know?
He's been there since 94.
Wow.
That's been a long time, 94, 95.
Now, is that where the previous location was, and then he transitioned over to the new location? I can't remember when that happened.
So when I started going to First Baptist, that was January of 96.
Okay.
We were on Vine Street.
Okay.
It's currently another church. I can't remember the name.
Okay.
But it's on Vine Street, right off of Vine and Reynolds Street.
Okay.
Right on the corner there. I think there's a black wrought iron fence over there right now. And then he actually led the transition to where we currently are in the heart of St. Bethlehem.
Yeah.
And I love Pastor Harris. He's a visionary.
Yes.
And I've been charged at several different times during my tenure there to kind of carry out some of his vision. And what I love about him right now is he's got this YAS movement, YAS. You are somebody. And that's kind of where I get my moniker, where I say I love you, I believe in you, I want to see you win. And I mean that. I mean that for you, Kevin. Yeah. I mean that for you, Madison. I mean that for you, Clarksville. I really do love you. I want what's best for you guys. I believe in you. I believe in our city. I believe in the things that we have going on here. Yeah. I believe in everything that we've got going on here. Whether I agree with it in the past or not, I still believe in, like the F&M Bank Arena, I believe in it. I believe in downtown growing. I believe in the Exit 1 area growing. I believe in the New Providence area and North Clarksville getting better. Yeah. I believe in you guys. And I believe in you as people.
And you want to see everybody win.
I do. I want to see all of us
That's really a
win.
unique thing. And it's why I feel like, when I'm telling the stories about people who make Clarksville the best place to live in America, you're right at the top, because it's easy for some people to say, I want to see everybody win. But I know you deep to your core, you really mean that.
I do.
Yeah.
Because your winning doesn't diminish my winning.
Wow. It's so mature, and I think sometimes it's hard for people to really understand that, because it's not a common trait. You know, some people assume that your winning comes with my losing, and that's just not your operating system.
People don't trust that from me.
Yeah.
And I recognize that. People really don't trust when I tell them I want to see them win.
Yeah.
The only people that shouldn't trust when I say that are politicians, because there's two of you at least on a ballot, and both of you can't win.
Yeah.
What I really want to see win, I want to see the people of our community win.
Yeah.
And so if you're a candidate and you're running for office and you genuinely have the best interest of the people of Clarksville at your heart, then I'm going to support everything that you do. Yeah. I want to see you win as long as you want to see everyone else win.
Yeah, I love that. That's what we're going to jump into part two. Little preview. Yeah, little preview of what's coming. Well, you know, I had to ask you about Pastor Harris, because he is such just a staple in our community. Yeah. I don't get to see him very often, but when I do, he recognizes me, you know, shakes my hand, you know, gives me just a word of encouragement. I always appreciate getting to see him either at an event I attend with you, or that you've hosted, or just around town. It's something that's really, you know, special to me. Well, let's talk about Black Santa.
Okay.
So this is something that you started how many years ago?
So if you have kids, go ahead and take them away from this point, right?
That's right.
If you
turn the
kids,
volume down.
Turn the volume down. Put your headphones on. Throw in your AirPods or whatever device you want to use. So, actually, man, growing up, I think we dealt with Santa a little bit.
Sure.
But as my kids were little, we didn't tell them that there was ever a Santa.
Okay.
We told them, Mom and Dad love you, and we'll give you gifts.
This is what it is.
During the pandemic, I began to grow my beard out. As things progressed, I was like, you know what? I think there's a way that we can put some smiles on people's faces in the midst of this. And so this started at actually Christmas season in 2020.
Wow. So first season during COVID. Yeah.
First season was during COVID.
Wow.
So we masked up. We met with people. We put stools beside Santa so that we didn't have to interact as much with people. And thank God we've not had any COVID. Yeah. For me specifically, we've not had any COVID. We've had COVID in our family, and it's hit our family pretty hard. But for me, even with Santa, there's been no COVID. But you know, that's what we did our first season, and actually there's 3 Santas that we used this year because we've grown so much. The first 2 years it was myself and my uncle Lloyd Johnson. My uncle is about 65 years old. Grown up in Clarksville, been in Clarksville all of his life. And so if you can do the math.
I don't think I knew Lloyd was your uncle.
Yeah, that's my uncle.
I didn't. Yeah. That man is also someone who just brings a smile to your face.
He sure does.
I did not know he was your uncle.
Most families, if you're blessed, you've got at least one family member that takes in everybody. Sure. You get in an argument with your parents, they kick you out. This is a place you go to. Wow. Uncle Lloyd has been that in our family. Wow. You in financial trouble, you go to Uncle Lloyd. He can help you out. He's been a staple. Been married all of my life that I can remember. Matter of fact, he wasn't married because I was in his wedding. Okay. I was in his wedding at 5 years old. He's been married to Aunt Retta for 40 years then. Wow. Right?
What a testimony.
And so if you can do the math, Uncle Lloyd was here during the Civil Rights Movement. He went to segregated Cobb School. I think he went to segregated Burt and then transitioned to Clarksville High. And now he's a Black Santa. And it's pretty special to have that relationship with him and to hear his stories and talk about that and hear the impact that it has for him to be able to put smiles on people's faces as Black Santa. Yeah. Black Santa, we do it, so again, to put smiles on people's faces.
And once again, that's just the genuine motive. There's really not an ulterior hidden agenda or anything.
There is one hidden agenda.
Tell us.
So we, the first year, I think we gave about $3,000 or $4,000 to CDE. And what we did is we went in, we told CDE, hey, we've got this money that we want to give to you guys. And we want you to pay off utility bills. But we don't want to know whose utility bills you're paying. Go get your cutoff list for today. Pay this off. Second year, we end up doing about $7,000. That was last year. And what we told them is pay off these bills for whoever's on the cutoff list today. Go find someone who's working the phones, who's done really well. Let them call those people let them tell those people that, hey, your bill is paid.
Wow.
You're taken care of. Let them get a smile on their face.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
And we also were able to do that.
What was their response when you told them that at CDE?
We really don't know what the response was.
Yeah.
They were happy.
Yeah.
And and I said, y'all go do that. And then I left.
Okay.
Santa left after that. He did his job and he left.
Yeah.
Then went over to Gas and Water, did the same thing and left.
Okay.
And we've been blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's selfish.
Yeah.
Because we get a big smile walking in and being able to do that.
Yeah.
We've all been in situations where, and when I say we, I'm talking about everybody in the Black Santa organization,
Okay.
which is all family. We've all been in a situation where a utility bill didn't get paid or was close to not being paid. And so to be able to do that for people in our community, and again, we don't know who they are. We don't care who they are.
Right.
It doesn't matter to us. What we care about is that someone's lights didn't get turned off.
Yeah.
Someone's water was continued to be turned on. And at the same vein, the city's utilities were paid.
Mm.
And so it wasn't that they were blessed and there was no compensation given to the company that does this.
Right.
Because they've got employees that they got to pay
everyone.
too. Yeah. And then I like the fact that we were able to tell them, hey, whoever has done well this week.
Yeah.
On the phone. So let's let them make that phone call.
Yeah.
Think about the smile that put on those faces. Right?
Because sometimes their calls may not be as fun.
Exactly.
Right.
They've got some tough calls.
There's some tough calls. Yeah. Well, if there was ever a genuine hidden agenda, I mean, raising some money along the way of something that's really meant to bring smiles to people's faces, and then being able to do something as genuine and as just universally benevolent to the community as that is.
Can I be a little bit more selfish right
Come
now?
on.
So the way that came about is I had a friend call me and said, hey, I got $1,000. This was during the pandemic. He said, we're not getting out of the house.
Yeah.
But we got $1,000 that we just like to give somewhere to somebody.
Wow.
And so he reached out to me and I said, you know what? As a Black Santa, we can do this. And so when I gave that away, a couple other people said, hey, we can help out too.
Yeah.
And so that grew into about $3,000 or $4,000 the first year. Second year, $7,000 to $8,000. So this year we would love to give away more.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to be selfish.
Come on.
If you're interested in helping people in Clarksville to get the utilities not turned off, that's CDE and Gas and Water, Black Santa would love your help in doing that.
Yeah.
So if you want to give anonymously, you can give to Black Santa throughout this season. If you want looking for us, go to Facebook, Black Santa. On Facebook, there's a picture of my beautiful uncle in his Santa suit sitting in a white chair. That was actually here in Clarksville. That was an event he did here in Clarksville. Beautiful picture of him, a full white beard, the glasses, everything. That's our Black Santa. That's your Clarksville Black Santa. Go to that page, shoot us a message, and we'll reply. We'll show you how to give and tell you how to. And we don't want to collect the money right now. We'll collect it during the season when we're giving. Yeah. So it's no money you got to give now, but start putting your pennies away to bless Black Santa and bless our community.
That's awesome. That's fun. Well, you told me just kind of in passing, you actually had a big win of getting Black Santa a little bit more exposure, a little bit, something exciting. Tell us about that.
Okay. So, if you know anything about about search engine optimization, things like that, it's pretty big if someone searches and they find you, right?
Yes.
And so someone was searching for Black Santas in Tennessee, and we were the first Black Santa that popped up in the search engine search. And it was a casting company. The casting company reached out and said, hey, we're casting a movie with a pretty big country star, and they're looking for a Black Santa for this movie. And so we were able to have Black Santa appear in a movie. The movie will be coming out this year.
That's exciting.
We can't release a title yet.
Okay.
We're not going to release a big country star yet.
Yeah.
But we are breaking it here on Clarksville Vibe. That Clarksville, awesome. Your Black Santa is in a Christmas movie that'll be out this year.
That's cool.
And it's a pretty big movie. It was produced by Paramount.
Okay.
So we're very, very excited about that.
That is exciting. So you'll probably find it on multiple streaming platforms.
We will definitely
broadcast
let you know.
channel. Yeah.
We'll
so go ahead and go find Black Santa now on social media. Go ahead and follow them.
Yeah.
When all those details come out, you'll be interested to follow.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is an important question to ask, and you mentioned how special it was for your Uncle Lloyd to portray Santa with his history in the Clarksville community, how long he's been around, what he's experienced. So, I think it's a fair question of, let's say people just from a background similar to mine, they may look at Black Santa and say, why, every other portrayal that we see of Santa does not have dark skin, does not look this way. Our kids are not accustomed to the way that Santa's portrayed, but I believe, and I know you believe, that it's a powerful act of representation to our whole community to be able to see this. So tell me a little bit about why you think it's important to have this representation that is shown in movies or shown in areas or shown in person, and the smile on some of these kids' faces where Santa is a little bit more representative of who they believe and see themselves to be.
So representation matters.
Wow.
Right. Representation matters.
And that's hard for someone like me to understand when I feel like I've never noticed not being represented.
It's not. You keep up with basketball.
Sure.
The star of the Dallas Mavericks is Luka Doncic. Yeah. So young Luka Doncic got a chance to see Dirk Nowitzki play. Dirk Nowitzki got a chance to see Tony Kukoc play.
Yeah.
These are European bigs playing the game a different way than the traditional black kids played from the U.S. And they thrived in this area, right?
Yeah.
And so that spurred them on to do better, right? Your father was a successful businessman. You saw that coming up.
Yeah.
You could be a dentist anywhere, but you decided, I want to be in practice for myself, because it was ingrained in you that you were exposed to at a young age that we do business.
Yeah.
And we own, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, we own businesses, right? That's called maximum exposure. I learned that from my boy E.T.
Okay.
So
Eric Thomas. Go find him online.
Yeah,
you will be blessed.
E.T. hip hop preacher.
Yep.
Check him out.
Yep.
But maximum exposure, compound exposure, being exposed to things a lot of times over a long period of time. And so being exposed to representation across all genres, across everything is important. And so not only should there be black Santas, but there also need to be black doctors. We've got a couple here in town. I've got my favorite.
Yeah. Go ahead and plug him. Go ahead.
We'll talk about that next episode when we talk about my health journey.
All right, fair enough.
So, but yeah, I got a black doctor, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
And as soon as I found a black doctor that I like, I took my son immediately because I need my son to see that that's a possibility. I need my son to see that that's a possibility, that he can be a dentist. And so he knows a local dentist.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a black dentist, but it's a dentist he has access to, right? My daughter, I want to make sure that she's exposed to opportunities that make sense, right? And so she's around people that I want her to be around. And we do that purposely. She's a manager for the basketball team at her local school. I made sure that we made that connection with the right people to do that. Yeah. Not because I wanted to play basketball, but because I wanted to be around the right types of people. Yeah. She's around a coach and a teacher that I really love and I admire. Yeah. And I want to make sure that happens. Yeah. Compound exposure, maximum exposure to all different types of things. So Black Santa allows us to be able to show that we can be benevolent in our community, that we can love on people, we can bring smiles to people's faces. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, man, we had an opportunity to be at the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville last year. We did 2 or 3 weekends there. One of the most powerful things was an 80-year-old white lady. She grabbed Black Santa and would not let go. Yeah. She said, I've never seen one. Yeah. This is special to me. Wow. This is important to me. I have value here. And tears begin to roll down our face. Those are the days that are great.
Yeah. Those are great days. I appreciate you sharing that story and having the determination to make it happen, because ideas pop in your head and you know that they're good, but you're not always sure if it's something that you really want to push the envelope on and, take on the challenge, and you're creating something from scratch, and, how's this going to be received? What is this going to do? But, I think we've all seen the general well-being and benefit to our community, and even in just what we discussed, we know it's important for representation for kids and adults of all ages, as you just described, to be able to see it, experience it, and then be blessed by it. And so, check out Black Santa. We know that's one of the things that you've been a part of. This other thing that you've been a part of more recently is Taste of Clarksville. Yeah. Right? So you are a connector of people. It's one of your natural gifts. And you saw a challenge for food trucks to kind of have enough exposure. There's no limit to the exposure that food trucks can get. And so when you say you want to see people win, you mean I want to see people win at this event, at this event, at this event, at every event. And if I can add to what's already being done by another organization or another event, then let's do it. Let's add to it and give more opportunities. So tell us about Taste of Clarksville. How did that come about? How did your Food Truck Fridays get started? Things like that.
So I definitely want to connect people. Yeah. I want people to have the opportunities to grow. I'm a big fan of local. And so when people talk about coffee shops, I always refer them to our local coffee shops. Go to Muggsy's, go to Lassiter's. Yeah. Because those are local. That money is recycled back into your community.
Big time.
When we have protests in the community, I can see the owner of Lassiter's out there. When there's donations that need to be given, I see donations coming in from the owner of Muggsy's.
Yes.
Those are great people, both families, really good families. Yeah. And so I encourage people to go see those local places. No, they didn't pay for advertisement here. I don't get any money from them. I don't even drink coffee. Yeah. I don't even drink tea anymore. Yeah. I just drink water. But I still love those people, right? And I want to see their businesses grow. I want to see them win. And I'm a big fan of local businesses. I want to see them grow. I want to see them thrive and prosper. And so Taste of Clarksville is an opportunity for people to get exposed to these local businesses. A lot of the food trucks, caterers, home cooks, they don't have the money for a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And so they need every opportunity that they can have.
Yeah. It takes a lot of capital to make that transition.
Does. And for them, the cost of doing business has increased considerably.
Right.
Me and my wife were talking the other day, and she was talking about a plate of wings. It seems like there's less now on a plate of wings. But one thing that I found out from my friends in the food truck industry, the cost of a box of wings used to be about $60 to $70. Now it's $160, $170. Right. But they didn't necessarily raise all the prices. And so instead of getting 6 wings in your wing platter, now you get 5 wings.
Right.
Instead of the wings being the huge wings, maybe they're a little bit smaller wing. Mm-hmm. Don't complain. Ask them why. Ask them, I see there's a difference. The flavor is still amazing.
Right.
It still tastes really good. It looks like maybe you've increased the size a little bit. But why are the wings so scant now?
Yeah.
Ask them those questions, and they'll tell you.
They'll tell you
either I take one wing out of the box, or I raise the price from $12 to $17.
Yeah.
One or the other. We got to figure that out.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I may have to lay somebody off. Mm-hmm. But instead of laying people off,
we're going to make accommodations.
We'll make accommodations. Yeah. So you get one less wing.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah. And people don't understand that that inflation that we're currently experiencing on a really high level affects every industry, every single industry. And while some industries, those costs just get observed and we know, and it's a commodity that we can't do without, gas prices go up,
exactly.
We don't have this same understanding of when a product then goes up, because we're not purchasing the materials to make this product. But when the product materials go up, we should have an understanding that these local businesses kind of have to respond in order to stay in business, in order to still offer us the product that they're selling.
Absolutely. And I like good pricing too. Mm-hmm. And so with Taste of Clarksville, we've actually done something to kind of help with that.
Yeah.
So there's a Taste of Clarksville discount card. You can get 15% off on the 15th of each month. So it's just one day a month. You get 15% off on the 15th of each month if you have a Taste of Clarksville card. There's over 40 businesses on the card. So I don't want to list them all because I'll forget one or two. But if you're interested in that, go to the Taste of Clarksville Facebook page, shoot us a message. We'll shoot you a link, and you can see how you can purchase one of those cards. Yeah. And you can see all the businesses that are involved.
And what I love about that idea is you were connected to all 40 different restaurants.
Absolutely.
Businesses,
absolutely.
And that is who you are. I don't know kind of what the back end of it looks like, but there's this idea that pops in Shed's brain that says, why don't we try to solve a problem of the local businesses having access to more customers due to rising cost? Mm-hmm. And let's introduce this program with all these businesses we're already connected to, where a day a month we can offer this. How do we make that sustainable? How do we make this affordable, economic, a benefit for the business and the customer? You create this idea and then you roll it out. That's awesome.
I didn't invent a wheel. We used to have the City Saver books.
Yeah.
So for years, I think during the pandemic is when they stopped the City Saver books. So I'm just filling a gap that the City Saver book left, right?
Yeah. I love it, though.
And so this is a local Taste of Clarksville card, 15% off on the 15th of each month. You can get your card. Guess how much your card costs?
I'm going to guess 15.
$15.
Yeah, come on.
$15. Yeah. And that card is good for an entire year. You pay me $15 one time, and you get a 15% off discount. So you go to Dream Wings.
Yeah.
Take your whole family. You're going to spend $50. So you save $7.50 for the month of September. You go back in October to, let's say you go to Official Wings in October. If you live in the Sango area, hit both of those places, right? Yeah. You'll spend $50 for a family of four there. So now you've made your $15 back. October on, anything you buy, you getting a discount. Yeah. And you've already paid for your discount.
Yeah, I love it.
Good to go. And it's cheaper than the City Saver book used to be.
Yeah. And Taste of Clarksville has an annual event. It's a big deal. You know, what month do you normally hold it?
It's the last Friday of July. We've had the last 2 years. Yeah. Now, that's a time where you come out and visit the food trucks with us. But food trucks are out all the time. Yeah. And not just Food Truck Friday night. There's the Saturday food truck roundup that's down on, I think it's called Dinner with the Trucks. I definitely know it's called Dinner with the Trucks. Yep. It's down on Riverside Drive. You got Riverfest. There's a lot of food trucks out for that. Yeah. Juneteenth weekend, there's hundreds of food trucks between Downtown Commons and Wimbledon Event Center. Yep. Go to the food trucks then too. You don't just come to the food trucks at Taste of Clarksville or Food Truck Friday night. Go to the food trucks anytime they're out. There's a group of food trucks they meet at between Popeyes and McDonald's on Fort Campbell Boulevard. Yeah. One of my good friends in the food truck industry, he's on Fort Campbell base. And so just if you see there's a food truck out, go support these guys. Yeah.
You want to see everybody win.
I want to see everybody win.
I love it. Yeah,
everybody.
That's powerful. Well, another thing that you do, we just keep going through these things. It's an endless resume, right? Another thing that you do and you've been a part of for a long time is being involved in youth sports. You know, you mentioned your son's, kind of matriculation and journey through high school sports. But you've been a staple long before that. You started and operated the Clarksville Basketball League, which was there for a while. Once again, seeing a need. You saw that 4th, 5th, 6th graders didn't have quality to really organize basketball, didn't have access to that on a highly competitive level, especially those 6th and 7th grade players who couldn't quite make their middle school varsity team, and there was no JV program at the middle school level. So they were going to practice, but only getting to play one half of basketball every other week or what it was. So you created the Clarksville Basketball League and operated that for a while. That filled a need. Now you're doing some PA announcing, so that's fun. So tell us, where can we find you on the mic?
So I'm the voice of the Eagles at Northeast High School. So go out to Exit 1, Exit 1 University, Northeast High. Come on out. I do the football games there. Yeah. I do the basketball games there, both men's and women's basketball.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been there for probably about 6 years now.
Wow. I didn't realize it'd been that long.
Yeah. Love it. Love those kids. Love seeing those kids play. I started right after Alex Poitras left. Okay. So I didn't get a chance to call any of his games, but I called some really pretty special players over there. So
you also played a big role in the Drake Reed basketball camp. You know, that's just a fun event that, kids have looked forward to. So, I got to ask a question, and, it's a bad question because you're going to leave somebody out. But Northeast has consistently produced some of our city's most talented athletes. Yeah. Is there a handful that you've watched in your few years there, kind of in the role that you play now, that have just stood out to you?
So one kid that really gets next to my heart, Alex Kegler.
Okay. Yeah, I remember him.
Alex Kegler, as a freshman, he played a little bit. Yeah. And I started calling him the kid. Okay. Because he just stuck out, right?
He probably graduated 2018, 2019?
2018, 2019, somewhere in there. Went to a JUCO. Yep. And now he's at Tennessee, University of Tennessee, playing at University of Tennessee.
I didn't know that, yeah.
Yes, he's playing at University of Tennessee. He'll be number 24 on the team. Okay. So look out for him. AK24, I think, is his social media handles. Okay. But that's my guy. I love Alec. Great kid. Wonderful spirit. Great family. That's my guy. The Cross brothers.
Yes. I remember watching them play football for sure.
Football and basketball, yeah. I love those guys. We got a neat little quarterback over there right now, Jaden Puig. Okay. He can go. Heath Williams, that's my little nephew. He's at Tennessee.
TSU?
Yeah, Tennessee State playing for Eddie George right now. Okay. I call him Trey, but James Atkins,
Okay.
the third.
Yeah.
He's a 6'5", 320-pound defensive lineman over there.
Rolling people over.
Played well this past week.
That's cool.
He handled that rushing attack that Montgomery Central has.
Yeah.
They're a pretty good rushing team. So there's a lot of players. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out.
Yeah, there's undoubtedly. But Northeast has such a rich history. You know, I went to Northeast High School my freshman and sophomore year.
Okay.
And that's when they were really, really bad, which is, you know, a brief history in Northeast High School, you know, football history.
They're
where
not
they were
down much.
They were down, and they were down bad. But since that time, I mean, you've got a history that goes all the way back, and I'm sure it goes before, but Travis Stevens was just a generational, you know, once-in-a-lifetime kind of Clarksville player. Jalen Reeves-Maven came through there. You know, just the list goes on. And when you watch Northeast play, when they've got great coaching, they're going to be a handful every year.
And you've got like the Don Evans that played basketball over there, who's an amazing person, period. Yeah. And then Drake Reed, who's now coaching. He's coaching at Fairfax High School in Phoenix. Yeah. Doing great out there. I talk to him probably 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. That's still my guy. You got Alex, you got Jalen Reeves-Maven, like you talked about, Travis Stevens, Marcus Gildersleeve. Yeah. They've had some special guys.
They've had some special. Well, I'm excited you get to be a part of it.
You got Mr. Northeast Tyron Williams, who's still running around town. Yeah, and he's their biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, and we are failing to recognize how good their women's sports, you know, their girls' sports have been. Girls track and field is a staple at the state level.
Christina Webb has a machine over there. Yeah. I don't know who's watching this. Yeah. Christina Webb has won state championships, has sent kids to Power 5 schools to run track. SEC schools, OVC schools. Yeah. She does not have a track.
Say that one more time.
There is no track.
There is no track at Northeast.
And she's won state championships. Yeah. So imagine if the basketball team won a state championship and there was no basketball court at the school. She does not have a track and she's won a state championship. Yeah. She has those girls practicing in the hallway, on Trenton Road, on Meriwether Lane.
Whatever it takes.
On the access road between the high school, the middle school, and the elementary school.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. You know, I ran this little known fact. I ran cross country at Northeast my freshman and sophomore year when I was there, and it's interesting now to look and see. You know, like you say, there's not a lot of places for them to run because the traffic is so congested there. But we would go from Northeast High School, kind of out of the front, you know, area. We would go left onto Trenton up to Kennedy Road, which I always thought was cool because it was my last name. My dad had some land way back in the back there, and we would run hills up there. But now those kids can't run on Trenton Road, even to Kennedy Road. You know, we used to go across the street to Hazelwood, which is a long street that goes all the way over to Needmore. We'd run that back and forth. It was awful. You can't run on Hazelwood. We would go on Meriwether from Northeast High School, from Meriwether all the way to Sam's Club, and then we come back. You also cannot run on Meriwether now. So, you know, it's when you've been around Clarksville enough, I feel like one of those old timers that tells me, well, back in my day, you know, like we used to do this and do that. And that's one of those stories where really the only thing in 99, 2000 that was down there was the Legends Bank. You know, the movie theater wasn't quite there yet. You know, there's a little Subway, I think, that was down there. But to see the just explosion in 20 years that's happened in that general geographic area is amazing to see.
I got you one better. So my stepfather was in the Army, right?
Okay.
We lived in Akron, Ohio when I graduated high school.
I didn't know that.
Graduated from high school at Harvey S. Firestone High School in Akron, Ohio. Yeah. We came down in 95. Okay. They would bring me down to start college at TSU. We drove down. My mother got off somewhere on the West Kentucky Parkway, getting over to I-24, got off to get some gas. She got lost at exit 89. Okay. We ended up on Tiny Town Road. Yeah. I can remember my brother and my sisters and I laughing so hard because there was a television show called Tiny Toon Adventures. Okay, yep. And we were
little cartoon,
little cartoons called Tiny Toon Adventures, and we saw Tiny Town Road. We thought that was crazy. Yeah. It was woods.
Nothing.
It looked spooky. Yep. My mom found her way back to Fort Campbell Boulevard, got on the interstate. Yep. Came down. That was Tiny Town Road in 95.
Sure.
So we get all the. I think the only thing that may have been out there at that time was Birchwood. Mm.
Yeah, which
is its own history. Right?
My mom's mom, she lived all the way down Tiny Town on what's called Pendleton. You know, it's pretty good ways down there. So we would go from my house where my parents' farm is there right in central St. B, you know, before 101 was built. We'd cut up Needmore, go all the way down to Needmore, turn left onto Tiny Town. And I remember, you know, an 8-9-year-old kid thinking, man, it's kind of scary. I don't know where we're going out here. And then we finally get to grandma's house for Christmas or whatever it was. But I remember there was nothing out there.
Yeah, nothing at all. So yeah, interesting.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a fun part 1. I know we got a lot to unpack in part 2. Make sure right now, go ahead and hit subscribe to whatever you're doing, because we're going to transition now, but we got so much more coming. Shedrich Webster, as I've said, he is Mr. Multi-Influence here in Clarksville, got his hands in all kinds of things. Mr. I really want to see everybody win, and I can make a testimony to that as it's being genuine. And you're bringing a lot of value. In this episode, we've talked Black Santa. In this episode, we've talked about your role in youth sports. We've talked about Taste of Clarksville, and I know we got so much more to come. So go ahead and mark your calendars, find it. You know, whenever this part 2 releases, you're going to want to be a part of it. You're going to want to take it in. Catch you then.